For 3 years, Te Wai Waitford has been kept alive with heavy-duty drugs and intensive therapy. Now his only chance of survival is a person with a big heart, a person willing to give. Te Wai, just 21, needs to find someone who is identical to him in one important way. And his search to find that someone is more difficult for him than it would be for many New Zealanders. For Te Wai, being Māori, not Pākehā, could mean the difference between life and death. It's possible there's a total stranger out there who could save your life.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping anyway.
So, A-Town. Yeah!
This is Cantinas On Air, Community Radio Hamilton. Te Wai's back.
He's a sick young man, this rookie DJ, though you'd never know it.
Hey, no one wants to be told that their cancer's coming back.
Hooked up to a microphone one day, to a machine extracting his blood the next. Chemo and radiotherapy, remission and relapse. That's been the past 3 years for Te Wai Waitford.
I'm quite mellow at the moment, and I'm not letting the disease get to me.
A former head boy of Hamilton's Melville High, he swapped a hard-earned scholarship for a hospital bed and a fight with leukemia.
Happy birthday to you.
Stuck in bed for his 21st birthday. For Te Wai, it's not a problem.
I knew I was going to be in here for treatment, so I told my sister, well, we're going to have to knock back my my 21st birthday to October. I should be fine by then.
He likes to tell people what to do.
Including you?
Yeah, including me.
Josephine Waitford. Are you proud of him?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I am proud of him. He's my baby brother.
What makes you proud?
Because he has a strength that I've not ever seen in anybody. And he's humble. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
For this birthday, there's really just one gift he wants. Healthy new bone marrow.
I'm kind of content, but it would be really good to find a donor. I'm not saying, yeah, find me a donor, but yeah, no, it would be good to have a donor come through.
What Te Wai needs is someone to help him, a total stranger. Someone willing to donate their own matching bone marrow to replace his, which is blighted with leukemia. The trouble for Te Wai is that someone is very hard to find. If he doesn't get this bone marrow transplant, then what?
Well, with any luck, he's in remission now and he'll stay in remission for some time. But looking into the future, we know that relapse is inevitable and we're not going to be able to cure the leukemia. And unfortunately, leukemia is a fatal disease.
Haematologist Dr. Philip Crispin of Waikato Hospital. Could a bone marrow transplant cure him?
Yes. Yeah. It's the only thing that can cure him, I think, at this stage.
I thought, we've got to do something about this, because you can't watch somebody go through this amount without any hope. And really, without this transplant, there is no hope.
If anyone meets Te Wai, they just want to do it for him because he's Te Wai.
Fiona Hayworth and her mother Susan, once strangers to Te Wai, their lives have been bound together by challenging circumstances.
It's such a horrible disease, you know. It's so nasty.
Ross, their son and brother, had the same acute lymphoblastic leukemia and was on the same ward as Te Wai. Ross also needed a bone marrow transplant for a chance to survive.
He didn't want us to be upset by thinking that he was scared. So he never ever showed that.
Ross turned to his sisters for help, Fiona and Vari. Typical bickering siblings in the past. They were his best hope of finding matching bone marrow.
When I found out that I was a match with my brother, I just was like, I was really glad, because it'd been what I've been sort of praying and hoping for, because it's like I could do something, I could give something back, because I'd seen how much he'd been through.
For one family, hope. For another, disappointment. Josephine had the same 1 in 4 chance of being a match for her brother, but she was not the one.
I wasn't a match, and that was probably devastating to me, but also to our family, because, you know, the 3 of us girls were not able to donate to him at all. So, yeah.
Would all your sisters, would they have all been willing?
Yeah, without a doubt, yeah.
The problem for Tiwai is his chance of finding a bone marrow match is slim. Now knowing his family can't help him, he has to rely on an international registry of people, generous people, willing to donate their bone marrow to strangers. If you were Pākehā, it'd be a lot easier. There are 7 million donors around the world with European tissue types, but there are just 7,000 Māori and Polynesians willing to be donors, and none of those matches Tiwai. It's been a painstaking, disheartening process for those trying to help Tiwai. Scientists at the National Bone Marrow Registry in Auckland have been trying to match up one tiny part of one tiny chromosome from Tiwai's tissue with tissue from the 7,000 donors. Raewyn Fisher, who heads up the registry, has exhausted the list of possibles.
Do you get emotionally involved?
Emotionally involved to the point where if I am getting donors tested and they come through and they're not a match, yes, I feel disappointed. Emotionally involved, certainly when you find somebody who is matched.
How many other people are there in Tiwai's shoes?
At the moment there are 8 Māori and Pacific Islanders for whom we are looking for donors.
Is it a problem that there are relatively few Maori and Pacific Island people on the register here?
It is a problem. It's a problem all around the world. It's a problem for people in minority groups because there are relatively small populations and finding a match is difficult. So we need people who are willing to be on donor registries so they can help people like Tiwai.
Compounding the difficulty for Tiwai is his mixed blood. He is part Māori, part Cook Islander. Does that mean the donor needs to have parents from those 2 groups?
No, not necessarily. But in terms of the probabilities of him getting a transplant, it's much more likely from his own racial group.
It's been a roller coaster ride for the last 3 years. You know, just when we feel like our hopes have gone up, then we kind of go crashing back down again. And as a family unit, it's been really difficult, you know. You feel like you've, you know, that you're not able to help at all, or you're not able to, you know, give the life that you so dearly want to.
The help will need to come from someone else, a Māori or Polynesian. Someone willing to join the bone marrow registry. That involves having a full medical and giving blood to the blood donor service.
Yeah, just like, squeeze.
It's analysed to determine your tissue type. And then you're on the international registry, expected to give to anyone at all if you get called.
So how are you feeling now?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Really good.
Chances are your bone marrow will never be needed. But if it is, you have to be prepared to undergo a general anaesthetic and have your bone marrow extracted from your hip bones with needles. Sounds pretty ghastly, but it's considered a low-risk procedure. Your hips can be a bit sore for a couple of weeks. You can kind of understand people's reluctance though, can't you, when it is quite an invasive procedure.
It's a big ask.
Raewyn Fisher is trying to grow the list of Māori and Polynesian donors.
It would take a very generous person.
It does. But having said that, of all of the donors that I've known who've donated, there's never been anybody who said, take me off. They've said, that was fantastic. I mean, when else do you have the chance to save somebody's life?
Is there a cultural sensitivity for Māori and Pacific Islanders in giving bone marrow?
Not in the same way as there is with solid organs, because what we are asking people to donate are the cells which make your blood, and those cells themselves are replaced continuously. So within a couple of weeks, or 2 to 3 weeks after having donated bone marrow, those cells are completely replaced.
So did the doctor say anything about your chemo starting?
Josephine and Te Wai both say if they hadn't been touched by leukemia, they'd never have considered being donors.
There you go.
It never occurred to them. But Josephine has been spreading the word to her extended family through newsletters.
So you yourself on the bone marrow register now?
Yeah, my whole family is.
Hopefully.
None of them have matched with Te Wai.
No.
So if you got the call to donate your bone marrow to someone you didn't know, would you?
I would. You'd do it. Yeah.
As tough as it's been so far for Te Wai and his family waiting to find a donor, their biggest challenge could still be ahead.
Pass me the breathe.
A bone marrow transplant is no easy procedure. The preparation is daunting.
Essentially, it's a lethal dose of chemotherapy. It destroys the bone marrow completely, and the only way to recover from that is to have bone marrow back in the reinfusion.
Then it's a very risky procedure.
It is a risky procedure, yes.
Do people sometimes die having these transplants?
They do, and it's something that we don't undertake lightly. Mortality rates from transplant are up in the vicinity of 20 to 30%.
Ross Hayworth, while blessed to have his little sister as a donor, died within 2 weeks of his transplant. He was 18.
At least there was a chance, and that was the greatest thing Fiona could do for her brother, was give him that chance. And I'd really like to think that there's someone out there who can do that for Te Wai.
The corridors of Ward 25 still hold painful memories for Fiona. It's just 9 months since Ross died.
Hey, Te Wai.
But Fiona and Te Wai have become good friends through leukemia.
Did you get your photos from National Camp?
Yes,
Are they cool?
Yeah. Did you get yours?
She wants him to beat the disease that beat her brother.
Te Wai's just the nicest guy. You've got to do something for him.
The whole experience has kind of changed me, actually. I've become better for it. I'm not saying it was good I got cancer, but I know that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And so,
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, fine with that.
Even if that means you might not survive?
It does mean that. I might not survive, but hopefully that's not the case.
Te Wai's doctor says he has a 75% chance of survival if he gets a transplant. Coming up after the break, Mark Kreisel's story on a bunch of enterprising Kiwis who stole a 100-year transatlantic boat race record.
Must have been a pretty hard haul for you guys. Actually, surprisingly. No,